everybody. Welcome back to the LCS Report. I'm Rob. He's Nick, and we start off every week asking the greatest question. Nick, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well. I got some predictions right this past weekend, albeit
killed
not
it.
in the way that I expected. How about you?
Both of my predictions were wrong. We literally said this. I'm pretty sure I was like verbatim. Either both of us are going to be right, or neither of us are going to be right. Or no, that doesn't make sense. One of us was going to be right, but there was not going to be a split in the middle, and that ended up being
Yeah, you
correct.
said it was like someone's going 2-0, someone's going 0-2.
Yeah,
There's not going to be, yeah.
your boy went 0-2, and I will wear that badge with honor because I was ready. I felt like both teams were I felt like they were ready. Clearly they were not. Your read on the situation, I think, was very astute, to be honest with you, especially with the Cloud9 game. But we're gonna take just to give you guys an overview again for these two episodes. We're gonna dive into these two series, and then next week, or not next week, next episode, we're gonna dive into the lower bracket finals game for Team Liquid versus C9. And then, we'll give our predictions for who we think will win that game. And then we'll each go into our finals predictions. So, pretty fun stuff. I really wish they would stop putting finals weekend on Easter weekend. It's just mind blowing to me that they can't seemingly figure this out. Is multiple years in a row where they just spring finals are during, a holiday, at least for North America. So, kind of wild to me. I'll be honest with you, but I guess there's not much we could do about it at this point. So,
I mean, LCS hates Jesus Christ and rabbits, confirmed. I don't know, man. It's
that's
every
the truth.
yeah, that's what it has to be. Every year I feel like we have the finals, but I mean, not that it bothers me. But I know that I'm in the minority in a lot of ways this finals, where I'm one of like maybe a dozen people happy that the finals are in LA, selfishly that I'm here.
I wish I could go, man. I would love to.
I wish you could go too, and I do feel. Yeah, no, it's not good timing for that. And I do feel for everybody who was kind of blindsided by the news, and I just under pulling back the curtain here, but I don't even have a confirmed assignment yet. But if not, I'm just gonna go for the sake of it to provide some sort of coverage, even if it's just on my social media, because. I hope some people can come out. I know that Ashley Kang's going to be here. I know some press corps are coming out. So
that's good.
So hopefully it'll get some good coverage because we still need that in the LCS for sure. Right now,
it's going to be up to people like us to, I think, help regrow it, and we'll have to see kind of what their plan is for next year, but. That's a conversation I think for us during the off season.
Yeah, sorry.
No. This is good because it's definitely something that we'll let you guys know straight up. We are going to discuss that kind of stuff in depth. This show is obviously about the LCS, so it's not just about the games and everything. That's what we're doing in season, but out of season, we will have episodes that we're going to discuss the larger issues I think that we have with the LCS. We'll probably do a full episode actually dedicated to best of threes and be able to give true points as to why it's actually good, all that kind of stuff. I may even put together a Google Slides presentation for those kinds of episodes. So
let's do it.
Just be ready, guys. Nick and I are enjoying working together in this capacity. We've been friends for a while, but this is the most fun I think we've had doing work together yet. So. I don't think this.
Yeah, it's been a good time. And I almost feel like with just conversations around the LCS, not to belabor the point, there's almost more to talk about in the off season than there is during season sometimes, like in certain, bigger picture talks. But anyway, let's focus on what's happening now, which is the fact that we just had these two playoff series happen. And I know you said, well, I got them wrong. I actually do think I think your predictions were based more in facts, based more on based on what we've seen, based on how these teams have played,
which is weird.
And I really went for my predictions kind of boiled down to it last week that I was like, well, C9 is going to need to ego one more time and get slapped down. And then I was like, I don't know, TL just impacted Core JJ, looks like they're coming alive. Your predictions were way more based in reality. I was just I feel like I've seen too many playoff series go this way, whether it be League of Legends or MLB, right? It gave me the vibe of last postseason where not to take a baseball tangent, but we had 300 win teams in the regular season of Major League Baseball last year, and all three of them were eliminated in the first round of playoffs, and it just felt like that kind of
crazy
thing, like, but yeah, I mean, I kind of want to start pitching it to you because, like I said, I do think that even though you were wrong, your predictions were based more in analysis and based more in what we'd already seen from playoffs. So, where do you think things went pear shaped for? We can start with either matchup, but I do want to hear where you think, like, hey, here's what I predicted, but why? What didn't go right, or what went wrong that you didn't expect to happen?
Yeah, no, I think that there are a couple things, honestly, Nick, that like I think Cloud9 played like because I we'll start there because I think that's the easier series to get through really quickly. Like they egoed, like it just felt like they egoed. Like what like their drafts were not great. You know, JoJo doing the same thing, and it's like they forgot how to play as a team again. And Berserker, like he played passively again, right? It was like all the things that they had fixed in the last set or last series, they didn't do right in this one, right? It was like they just could not figure out what they were like what they wanted to do, and like there's in no world where JoJo should. There's no excuse for him having no kills. That is unacceptable in my opinion. It doesn't matter what the rest of the team is doing. If he's playing that poorly, then that's on him, right? And it's not like Jensen was like gapping him in lane or anything, right? It was just that like they had no plan. Blabber seemingly was playing reactive. They had no idea where they wanted to go. It's like this team is very talented. And the fact that they were even able to stay in some of these games despite nothing going right for them, right? And when I say nothing going right, I think largely based on their own decisions. You know, it's embarrassing. I mean, they should genuinely be embarrassed. And I don't mean that as like to be like just truthfully an asshole to them, but like they have to realize that that is unacceptable. Like regardless of what team they're playing for, regardless of anything else, those types of performances when I'll be honest, like I think like Berserker and Vulcan should not be getting gapped by Masu and Busio. Like that's unacceptable too. Like the only person who played okay-ish was Fudge. And he wasn't great either, but he was like at least kind of there with Bwipo. Although Bwipo was still gapping too. I mean, it was just like it was truly like the Grand Canyon of gaps, right? Like it was bad. It was really just bad. I don't know like that we need to analyze it more than the fact that like Cloud9 played arguably their worst League of Legends, like even worse than their 4-game losing streak, in my opinion, in this series.
Really? Wow.
I thought it was pretty awful, dude. I mean, I was just watching these games and it was like their alt timings are wrong. They're out of position. Blabber doesn't seemingly have anywhere to go on the map because either lanes were picked incorrectly or, you know, he just, I don't think was pushing the right buttons at the right time. Like it just felt like FlyQuest could do whatever they wanted to. And they just had no answer. And to me, for a team that's this talented, that has largely pieces that have played together in some capacity or another, that's unacceptable to me. And they've had, what, close to 20 games now to figure it out, right? And they just didn't. And, like, you know, that's not to say that my prediction on Thursday's episode is not going to be them going to finals and maybe winning it. But, like, you said that they needed a loss in your mind to really become the best version of themselves. I mean, this is about as bad as it freaking gets, man. I mean, this is truly just like FlyQuest are a good team. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. I know it sounds like I am, but like this Cloud9 team was built to be arguably the best, like most talented LCS team we've ever had. I mean, truly at every position. I don't know, even at the best TSM days, right? Like, it took time for players like Svenskeren, right, to kind of, you know, come into who he was with this team, and even Broken Blade
Right.
or whatever, right, or even Team Liquid, right? Like they still had players that kind of needed time to kind of figure themselves out, or you know, I don't even know that Pobelter was like the best mid laner at the time when he was playing, right? Like stuff like that.
No, he wasn't.
Arguably, every single one of these players should be and have performed in the past the best at their position. And there's just no reason for them to ego to a point where they can't even win a series. To the fact where JoJo can't even get a kill. I mean, I'm looking at this right now. I mean, Fudge and Blabber and JoJo combined for 6 kills. 6 in a 3-game series. Again, that's
Yeah,
unacceptable to me. You just can't do that.
and they weren't playing like keep away comps. They were playing Yone. These are like
Yeah.
champions that should be getting
Rumble. I mean, that Rumble Yone comp, I saw that and I was like, dude,
right.
this comp is. Now, I will give credit where credit's due. I actually really liked that comp, right? But it was just like, they're like, oh, there's not enough damage, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, they're going to outscale this Karma comp if they just slow it down. Yone, Senna, and Rumble will be able to rip through. Like, they were like, oh, Renata, Karma, there's just too much shields. And it was like, well, yeah, there's too much shields because they lost at 26 minutes. If they drag this game out to 35 minutes, there ain't enough shields in the world to get through those 3 right before they pick somebody off. Even if you put all of them on Masu's Varus, you're asking a rookie to beat all of Cloud9. And he did. That's just like, it's bad. Like, it was just bad. That's what I mean is like, the way that they lost was embarrassing to the fact of like, they let rookies and truthfully players who had been pushed out of organizations, regardless of their talent level, beat what is supposed to be the number 1 team across the board. And to me, that's either coaching or player ego, and something has got to shake up and change if they want to make it to MSI and actually perform well at MSI too. The fact that they're even here is just a testament to how good they actually are as a team. The fact that they're top 3 and playing like probably the worst, best team I've ever seen in the LCS. Sorry, rant's over.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't disagree with anything you said. I think it's more. I think it's really about what those implications are, right? Like you said that it's a testament to how good they are as a team that they got here playing the way they are. I want to sort of yes and you and say that it's actually a testament to how good the individual players are, because the team play really is what the issue is here, right?
Yeah, that's
and
what I meant.
No. I just wanted to. Yeah, and I think that when I predicted FlyQuest to win, this is not how I had it going down, right? Like I had 3-2. I had very narrow because I was under the impression that, like you said, C9 was going to ego a little bit, give up a little too much, play a little too cocky.
Yep.
But we saw some things that raised concern for me a bit more. I do think Masu and Busio played like maybe their best League of Legends this year. They were like not to say that Berserker and Vulcan didn't underperform. They did. Masu and Busio had an incredible series, I thought. Just to say that, like even C9 on their best day wins this series probably, but Masu and Busio really played well. So I'm not trying to take anything away from them because I feel like all my points are not about FlyQuest, but they're really about Cloud9, and that's the fact that, like you said, you can't have a guy like JoJo get 0 kills. That's not an ego issue, right? Mm-hmm. That being said, I think this was justice for Jensen a lot. Like I think that people really continue to underrate Jensen because a lot of the strengths he brings to his teams are very unsexy. I know that we're going to do a whole episode on this, but I'll just put it out there. I had Jensen as my All-Pro first mid laner, which I know is I don't think very many people did. But I just think that JoJo is great. I think he has more skill, but Jensen has made a career of neutralizing younger versions of him. Jensen was Incarnation. He was level 2 Fizz dive you with Exhaust Ignite. Like he invented that tech, and now he's this seasoned veteran who plays control mages. He knows how to neutralize a player, and he knows what it's like to be on a Cloud9 team where you have to win through mid. He was just the perfect assignment for this.
Yeah.
And I think that was really undervalued, even by us. I think I didn't think it was going to be that level of shutdown on JoJo. The other thing, the other thing that concerns me, I guess, is that I had C9 losing closely. They get egoed out. Okay, that's the last straw. No more chances, right? We have to win now. Okay, they'll have to play for real. What I was concerned by with the 3-0 is that what if this isn't a team that just is held back by ego? Because that's part of it, but really, we haven't really seen. I think Jat said this at the broadcast. We haven't seen C9 win a game where they've had to strategy it out, where they're even at 20 minutes, where they have to grind out a game. They're pretty much losing quickly, or they have a crazy lead in one lane, or Blabber is just absolutely like just jungle kingdom over somebody, right? And then it's a clear path forward. Like the thing I mentioned about that, this team reminds me of the Perks C9 era team in 2021, where they were like kind of high variance, very strong individual skill. Things didn't always come together strategically on the Rift every day. Things still came together strategically at some point. Perks is one of his greatest strengths. You can ask teammates, ask opponents about it. Is his coordination and his ideas of initiating coordination with the support in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a team of 5 pairs of amazing golden hands,
Yeah.
and that's not actually what's going to win you League of Legends. And I'm concerned now. Like you said, it's like I hope this is just ego, because I had them egoing to a very close loss. I didn't have them getting completely swept, and that tells me it's like, is it just ego, or is this team like fundamentally incapable of finding like the same page, right? Like, and we haven't heard the comms. It could have been just like, oh, we got complacent after the 100 Thieves series. We should have tried harder. It's very well could still be ego related, but it sure didn't look that way. I felt like in the nature of the series, and that's what concerns me
See,
is that
I don't
like,
know if I agree with that, man. Just because the fact that it's like, I, maybe that is what it is, because it's just like it just felt like they weren't being proactive at all. Like, did you see them like truly try to like make an early game play? Like, it felt like most of the time they were just trying to farm, get ahead in lane, and then if they were losing in lane, Blabber just kind of didn't try to do anything other than try to respond to wherever Inspired was going. And it's like, so maybe I
yeah.
do agree with
I
you,
mean, he
but yeah,
I mean, he doesn't though, right? This is how C9 plays. It's like when they're at their best, they have at least they usually are winning in farm and all lanes, but they have one lane that is clearly like starting to blow things open, and usually it's mid because JoJo's the best laner in the LCS.
yeah,
Blabber is much more the jungler. It's going to path efficiently, get himself an individual advantage, try to exert pressure over the other jungler, and then it's really easy for him to capitalize on a lane that's kind of doing 80% of the, not to say that Blabber isn't a good jungler, just that he's often striking when he already smells blood in the water. This is what I'm talking
yeah.
about.
He's
This
able to
team
push
completely,
advantages.
yeah, but everything comes from this player was better than their player individually,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not team play. No matter how, and I do think the drafting has been better in playoffs. By the way, I liked the One Rumble comp. I don't think the
I thought it was
composition was
good
the
too.
problem there. So, oh, shoot, sorry.
No, you're good. I can still hear you.
Sorry, Ruby's laptop got a call that's on her phone,
Oh, I couldn't hear
and
it.
I don't know how to. Huh?
I can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
No,
Okay, I just can't hear you because the iPhone. I'm so sorry.
no, you're
Okay,
fine, dude. We're good.
um,
We're good.
okay, I will. Back to my point. Um, but yeah, Blabber, he's the type of jungler that, at least on this team, he gets his own advantages, and then he uses that to kind of sort of push things over the edge when they're already teetering. When Fudge already has somebody below 25% HP, when JoJo already has a 12 CS lead, when the bot lane already has a significant position, and their flash is up. Like, it's not that it's not good. It's just that like this is very much like it's so basic on a teamwork level. It's like if you're really only coordinating when you are all ahead, and it's like, okay, we have flashes up. Like these are things like this team could probably look the same if they weren't communicating with headsets. Like, honestly, like
I mean, you're not
this is
wrong.
mostly pretty intuitive coordination. Like, and that's kind of the level they've shown. And when the players are good enough for it to work out and the advantages are already there, then it works. But we don't see this team like go even till 25 minutes and then like out macro or even out team fight, really. Like, not that they're necessarily bad team fighters, but we really only see them have these great team fights when they're up like 4 or 5K, or they have like a crazy advantage on one person. So
Well, it's almost because it's like they see the game differently, which is very weird to me when it feels like this team was built correctly and like all the pieces should fit together. And maybe they do technically fit together, but they're from different puzzles. You know what I mean? Like,
the
like,
pieces fit, but like one's a horse puzzle and one's a train, and then the
yeah,
train has a horse face.
exactly. And that's kind of what it sounds like to me, because I don't think you're wrong. And I don't know. It depresses me because like I don't have a team that I root for anymore. I'm rooting for the LCS, right? So to see like I'm just going to be completely frank. I think FlyQuest will be fun at MSI. I don't know that they will actually be able to do anything. I think if TL go to MSI, I may not watch. I may just I may just not watch. And I know it
No.
sounds like I'm the biggest TL hater. I swear to you, I'm not.
I'm a
I
fan of the
love these
LCS 10
players.
seconds ago. I'm a
I
fan.
know I am still a fan of the LCS, and I
No,
will
I know.
root for them. But it's like I just don't know that either of those teams are gonna do anything at
Just
MSI.
I'll root for you, just not with my eyes.
Yeah, like I may just use my brain power on those days for other things.
Good vibes.
I,
Oh my
I'm
god.
obviously exaggerating. I will watch the games, but like you get what I'm saying though, right? Is it's like internationally, if your lanes like unless if your team play is NRG 20 end of 2023 level where they are just so in sync, it's disgusting, right? You have to have really strong laners when you go internationally because otherwise Chovy is just gonna gap your ass before you can do anything in a team fight, right? Like it's just not gonna
Yeah.
matter. And so like for
Yeah.
me, as not to say again, I think FlyQuest can make some noise. I just don't think that necessarily they're gonna be able to hold up because of the bot lane. I could be wrong on that, right? Like clearly I've been wrong on a bunch of other shit, so we'll see. But like you know what I mean?
No, no, no. I do
Like
get what
Cloud9, I feel
you're
like
saying
have
is
to
that
go international for us to actually
yeah.
play well, and it's because it's like they're built for international competition and not for regional. And it's so weird to me to say that, but it
Well,
may be, but that's the case.
no. This is the crux of the frustration that I think you're getting at, and I agree with you, is that we know the thing that's frustrating to watch with C9 is that this is a team that if they put it together individually, they can stand up internationally. Like
Yeah.
these are all players who have at some point been individually a world class player
Yeah.
at their role.
Yeah.
Um, in my opinion, at least. I guess that
No,
could
I
be
think you're
debated with a
absolutely
couple of the
right.
guys, but I think like it there's and whereas I think, like you said, FlyQuest internationally, I think the top side is fine. I'm concerned that I think it might be experience gaming for the bot lane, right?
Yep.
Because it's I don't know what else you're going to get from that. I hope to be wrong, but I get what you're saying is that C9 has like hypothetically the highest international ceiling
Yes.
because of the enormous amount of individual talent on their
Mm-hmm.
roster, and that's why it's frustrating. And I get what you're saying about these other teams, and because they're kind of like, we even see it in FlyQuest domestic performances. It's nice when Masu and Busio actually, like, I thought they showed up pretty well against Cloud9, but like,
Mm-hmm.
they still weren't the focus of the map. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that against international competition, but that's a whole other conversation to have for MSI. But I think the C, like you said, this C9 team should fit together. Like it's not like we saw this team come together on paper and I was like, well, like stylistically, it should work. This is
Yeah.
not a classic super team of like, oh, we put Double Lift Bjergsen and Broken Blade on the same roster, and they had resource issues for like 6 weeks. Like, oh, really? Like
Yeah.
it's this like
Surprise.
Fudge is a great weak side player.
Mm-hmm.
Berserker doesn't really need to be played around in lane. He's more of a team fight specialist.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not working the way that I think that we all hoped, and obviously that C9 hoped. And I just even if the drafts had been better, I don't know if this team has like a leading, like a spiritual leader, like a leading voice, like a closer or even a Bwipo for that matter. Someone who's really like
Yeah.
supposed to lift. Or even just someone like who can be like a little like someone just to lift the spirits up a little bit. Someone who like
Or
Umpty.
rock the boat to
People on
call them
TL
out
talked
to
about
push them
like
forward, you know?
something, right? Because like people talked about like Umpty was so upbeat during the bad times on TL that it really kept their players like in a space. And I think regardless of how you feel about them going forward, it's very fair to say that TL's been much better in playoffs than they have in regular season.
Sure.
And I think like that's also part of like team synergy, right? It's not just what happens on the riff. It's like, do you guys like you don't have to be best friends, but do you guys get along? Is there a give and take, a dynamic, and understanding of where everybody fits, or is it too many cooks in the kitchen here? I don't know. Um, So yeah, and I didn't expect them to lose 3-0. That's why I wanted to bring up the like, is it more than just ego point? It might not be. I hope it's not, because that means I think they can put it back together. But we still haven't seen this team like win a game like the way that 100 Thieves has had to win games, for example, where like they wouldn't win early games. So they had like it's not an exaggeration to say 100 Thieves had better shot calling this year than C9 so far. That's just factual,
You know,
and that's a problem.
You know what's wild is I just had this thought come across my mind, and we're gonna get into the 100 Thieves Team Liquid one too because we do have limited time as always, because otherwise Nick and I could talk forever on this stuff. Um, dude, I think, and as much as I love Vulcan, I'm like a huge Vulcan stan, truly. Dude, I think Sven would actually be able to bring this team together. I'm just gonna be honest. I know he wants to play AD carry man, but can you imagine Sven on this team? Not that he's as good mechanically, obviously, as Vulcan, but like if they're truly like I think you're right. Like if they're needing like that guy to help motivate you, and he's not the same toxic guy that he was on TSM. Like uh, he is known to be uplifting and like a true motivator for his team. Like him and
Was Sven
Berserker.
toxic at TSM? Sorry to cut you off. I wasn't aware of that.
Really? Oh yeah.
Genuinely, I genuinely.
Oh yeah.
Okay, for
It
sure.
did not get near the end there. He was very unhappy. He's even came. He
I
came out
mean,
in that big piece and that big video and
I
talked
guess
about it.
when you said toxic, I feel like I don't know. I felt like maybe his worst moments were more of a byproduct of the environment he was put in. But
Now that's what I
anyway, go
mean.
on.
Well, no, that's fair. I
Okay.
don't mean toxic in the sense that he. Toxic, I think, has such a plethora of meanings. What I mean by that
Negative
is
connotation.
he was not helping his team. Like he was not being a leader on his team back then. He was
Oh,
very
for
much
sure.
just
Yeah.
like he felt like he was in contract jail that like last season and a half, and was just there to play the games. And he even straight up said
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand now.
So like what I'm saying is like, but he said like straight up that when he came to C9, everything changed, right? And you can see it in the way that he celebrated with his teammates, in the way that he talked, like with his teammates and stuff like that. Like it's I think he would be the kind of guy that could fix it. It's just whether or not bot lane would get in trouble again internationally. So it's like weighing
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, somebody needs to step up on this team because I think all five of them are relatively quiet people, like in general, right? Like they're big personalities on the Rift, but I don't know that they're like the one that's going to give a motivational speech to get the team to get kind of back on track, right? Like, and I don't even
Hmm.
know if necessarily anybody on that coaching staff is either. Just to be honest,
Yeah.
like if they
No, I'm
want,
with
I
you.
can do it. I would love to. I'm putting this out there now to C9. If you want, I will get in on a Discord call, or you can fly me out for playoffs, or for finals. Like I'll do that too. But like, you know, I will come in and I'll motivate the hell out of these guys. I mean, you can put me in their ear like on repeat. They're just listening to me while they're playing the game. I
I've
don't
seen a
care what
lot of
time I can
sports
do it.
movies. Okay, I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
this.
exactly. Like you want me to come on in here, dude? I will lift you guys up like nobody's business. But I'm just throwing that
Yeah.
out there to them. But regardless, yeah, they are a problem. They have a problem, and we're gonna have to see if they can figure it out this weekend. Because if they don't, I also worry that they're not going to stay together, and I think that that's a crime, sadly, for this team. I mean, I don't want to blame the coaching staff because I think that Mithy's been pretty good, honestly, and I got to interview him last year, and I think he's pretty brutally honest and in a good way. But something has to change. This team is way too talented to lose 3-0 to FlyQuest. They should have at least won 8. If they would
Yeah.
have even won one game, I'd be disappointed, but I'd be like, okay, well, we know what they have to do to win. Right now, I don't know what they have to do to win. Because if
Yeah.
they can't win through a lane, then they're kind of done. So, yeah,
Yeah.
last point, and then we have to move on to 100 Thieves.
Yes, absolutely. I just wanted to go back to your Sven point because I think it has illustrated it contextualizes an interesting trend, which is that we have these. It reminds me. It's funny. I think like there's now this reputation of Vulcan being a cursed support. I think it's less about that and more of like we really undervalue the comfort level of a Korean import player, especially a young Korean import. It wasn't that Vulcan was a better support. It wasn't a better support than Winsome on FlyQuest. He absolutely was. Every single part of the role he was, even when he wasn't at his best, in my opinion. But Winsome could speak Prince's language. Winsome and Prince had a vibe
Yeah.
clearly, and that worked. And we've seen it the same way. Not that Sven is Korean, but Berserker and Sven's bond was very, very close right from the beginning. Not only did they play together a long time, but Sven has told me on record. I'll find the article if I have to link it. Uh, I was only comfortable switching to support if it was Berserker because I wasn't going to switch for someone who was. It had to be someone who was as good as me now, and I thought could be better with me in a year. And that's true. but we saw, and we saw every international tournament, same thing came around. Sven got his head caved in by supports. By his own admission,
Yeah.
his greatest asset was making Berserker comfortable. And that's not like I get like why they wanted to make a change there and why Sven wasn't the answer going forward. Sven also probably wanted to go back to AD, like you said. He's talked about he was looking for teams as an AD. I think you bring him back as a bottling coach. I don't see why you wouldn't. He's experienced. He's played with
Yeah.
both these guys for years, each of them for like 2 years, almost 2 years each. He has experience in both roles. He can. He's. We saw in C9 the TSM guy was still the sort of stoic, uh, you know, like just doing damage. He just playing the games.
Yeah.
C9, we saw a leader come out. We saw a personality come out. I'm shocked they haven't given him a coaching staff position.
I am too.
Like
I was gonna say that. I mean, Mithy's
I
the
think
guy
maybe
as well, right?
maybe
Like,
they've offered him. Maybe they've offered it, right?
I mean,
Yeah,
they
and
had to
yeah,
think
and then
so.
that's, and
Sven
then
and
yeah, because
Mithy
I
came
just
over
forgot
together.
Sven and Mythic. Yeah,
Yeah.
what the hell am I even saying? I totally even forgot. Like it makes so much sense that I have to assume they did offer Sven that, and he's like, no, I want to keep playing. And I think that Sven would be too good of a coach that if he went to coaching, he would just stay coaching. I don't think he's the kind of guy to go back and forth.
That's the problem. Is I
So
think he will be
yeah,
an excellent coach. Like one day he will be a
and I
head
don't
coach
think
of
he's
a
ready to
team.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah, and I
no,
think he'll
yeah,
be good. I mean, but like, why couldn't he like why not bring him in? Because like, hopefully they make finals again. I'm so sorry, Team Liquid. I swear to you, if you guys go, I will cheer you on as best I can. I think it needs to be Cloud9
you're the
for
ultimate player hater of Team Liquid this year.
but it's so bad because it's like I'm also the one that goes on a 15-minute rant on APA. Like I just don't. I don't know. I can't.
You love APA and hate Team Liquid. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't know at this
No,
point. But you get what my point is. Is it's just like
of course.
yeah. And okay, we I could do this for another hour. We have to move on. I think to 100 Thieves Team Liquid. I think that's
okay.
only fair to them. Oh, okay.
Rip.
My frustration with C9
Thieves.
is spilling over.
No, we needed to talk about that because it was like you said, it was the less nuanced series, but that's the big item, right? Like what the hell? Like
Yeah,
that's
what
the
is going
question
on?
mark. So
And
but yeah, I mean 100 Thieves Team Liquid.
look, 100 Thieves just looked like I thought that they would at the beginning of the split when I put them at 5, right? Like they just
that's fair.
River honestly looked horrible. I as much as I love him, he just could not seemingly find a foothold in this series at all. They were very reliant, and I just kept thinking, I was like, Quid's gonna come in here and do this. Quid's gonna come in there and do this, bro. It's just not working. Yeah, it wasn't his fault. I just don't think that they as a team were able to overcome, I think, some of the cracks in the armor that we had already seen, right? I think inexperience played a huge role in this one. They were just making really weird plays at times. It felt like they were on different pages for most of this series as well. And I will give them kudos for winning a game at all based on the way that they played. And to be fair, I'm pretty sure it was largely because of, it sounds bad, was because of Quid's Talia. I think he played that game was amazing. And it was like
he was sick nasty, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like they finally had momentum, and then Golden Glue or the team, somebody on 100 Thieves decided, let's give Jan Smolder.
We talked about this so much last week. When I saw that locked in, I literally was gonna message you. I'm like, are you serious?
Dude, I literally thought, I was like, well, so this is a 2-1 series now, and I don't know that 100 Thieves can come back. And that's literally, that is where this series ended for me. I think they played the first 2 games well. I think Team Liquid, they drafted well. They played well. Like, they really did. I think they played exactly how we said. They mitigated Quid. They bullied River.
Really
and
well.
They allowed for Core and Impact to kind of just take over and do their thing, right? And Umpty was really good. Like, the whole team was really good. Jan had a great series, even outside of the Smolder game. I want to give full credit to APA because not only did he hold up in lane, I know that there were big, disadvantages in CS. And again, like, he has his very major flaws. But you know what? He came into team fights and he was useful in almost every single one of them. And it was refreshing to see. Like, they're not the most skilled team. But I will say, of all the teams in playoffs, and I can't believe I'm saying this, truly, based on the way they played all season, they're playing the most like a team of all of them, and that's enough to win you series. We talk about this. We hammer this point home, you and I. When you play as a team, you can overcome almost any other team in League of Legends. It is a team. We are seeing over the last, I think, 4 years, just how much of a team game, at least especially in the LCS, League of Legends is. It doesn't matter if you have the best damn player. I gotta stop, being like, well, Quid's the best player in the series. He's gonna be able to win it. That's being thrown out if the other team can actually just play well as a team. They drafted well. They played well. I give full kudos. As much as I've been shitting on Team Liquid this entire last couple weeks, I give them full kudos. They have come together as a team. Umpty has surprised the hell out of me. It's like some switch flipped for him once they got into playoffs to where, like, I know you were like, oh, he was better. I went back and rewatched some of those games, dude. He still did not know where he wanted to go. I'm just going to tell you. He played better individually, but there were a lot of games, man, where Umpty was on Jupiter and the rest of the team was on Mercury, man. I mean, they were in different stratospheres and different planets. And it's because he just seemingly saw the game in a very different and probably better way, to be honest. But it's like he's adapted his style. He's kind of dumbed it down a little bit, I think, to fit with what this team needs right now. And it's working. It's working. They're drafting well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't give the Croc to Impact. You can't. You just can't give him that. What'd they do? First game, there goes the Croc. They take it away from him in the second game. They banned that out. They banned the Smolder out. They banned out the Gragas. And lo and behold, they win. It's like, I don't know why they changed their bans. 100 Thieves. It doesn't make sense to me. But, and even the Kalista stuff, man. Still didn't see enough from Kalista this weekend to make me believe that Kallista's worth a first ban. But again, I just don't seem to apparently know anything these days. But I don't know, man. What do you think? I mean, that series was great from both teams. I think had different good points, but I really do think that Team Liquid have kind of found their stride, and it's making them dangerous.
So I'm glad you gave Team Liquid their flowers. I think it's deserved. But before that, I want to just quick obituary to 100 Thieves. I mean, really exceeded expectations.
Yep.
What I think went wrong here. I think I don't know. I don't know if anyone interviewed the 100 Thieves players after this game. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that River still wasn't 100%, or even if he was physically coming off of like a series where you were sick, disoriented, and got your head caved in by Blabber. Yeah. Might be tough, right? I also think, and not to take anything away from Quid, this was why I value River so highly, because we saw a declawed Quid. Not that he was bad, but he had a lot more trouble getting more things done without River being River. And that's why I value him so highly, because that being said, there were other factors too. Sniper said himself he thought he didn't play as well in playoffs as he did in regular season. I think that's fair.
Yep.
And I think he was due for a little bit of regression. He was insane in the regular season for a rookie domestic. We don't have that happen. Our rookies are supposed to be terrible they're supposed to be terrible for a year, and everyone has to hate them. They have to be forged in the fire of Reddit, and then they become good. He was good right away. So, but that also would, just talking about that, would say that it would take away too much from this Team Liquid team, who I think really has made some incredible improvemements. Like I really testament to Spawn. I feel like all the things that we've talked about, he's clearly, I mean, not that he's watching our show for coaching notes, but I mean, those are every single thing we've said, they've actually gone to, like you said, they've addressed and they've adjusted. There's also been some other individual things. You mentioned Quid had a great Talia game. You know who else had a great Talia game was APA.
Dude, that Talia game, he was flipping everybody.
He was
in game one.
Nasty. Really, really strong performance. Good series from overall, I thought, actually.
I thought so.
I think we're still seeing the same sort of issues. Jan has also been fantastic. I thought Jan's really stepped it up in playoffs, but
has been way better than I thought.
Way better. There's that one Varus game where it was still egregious, but that's the one spot. But that's what I mean, right? Both these guys, they still have some, APA and Jan are never going to be maybe eventually, but right now they're still not the best positioning team fighters. There's not.
No. But
they're much better. And when you're winning your early games and utilizing all your early game tools, you can afford to. There were a few Ziggs team fights where APA in an even gold situation is dead to rights, but they were up 3 or 4K and it was fine. Mm-hmm. And that's the luxury you have. If your carries are young guys who can do a lot of damage and aren't great positioning, just play your early game with your veterans and give them some wiggle room. Like you said, like you were talking about, give your young carries some space to make mistakes. And
Yep.
that's what we're seeing. I think that what you said about Umpty, like this guy is an early game jungler. Like he not that he can't make decisions in the late game, but like he's like would have been when I think of Umpty on TL at his best so far. I think that these amazing Lee Sin flash insects that he's been pulling off that have just been so beautiful to watch. And the volley bear, I loved the volley bear game. I love
It's
the volley
great.
bear pick.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing Team Liquid play the early game in a way they haven't before, and it's making everything better. T looks better individually. The team looks more on the same page. The carries have more margin for error, right? Like it's a beautiful thing to watch Team Liquid play the early game. I'm so happy to see it because I mean they and then they we got Smolder, okay, we can chill. Like, and you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, go to brunch for the first 30 minutes of the game if you have Smolder, who cares? Like but like it was nice when they weren't getting Smolder, like, all right, we're playing volley bear, we're going in on the early game, and it actually felt like they were getting the most out of all their players in their roster. And that's the first time that I think that we've seen them do that with everybody. And
Yeah.
that was so nice. That's why I think like uh I think that's after Jensen after FlyQuest beat C9, Jensen was like, I don't know, I think we might face TL in the finals. We're not gonna get into predictions this episode, but what I will say is this isn't just 100 Thieves, regressing. Like Team Liquid looked much better.
Yes.
And in concrete ways that weren't just like, oh, player gap. It was like, no, they were executing on team plays in a superior fashion and also stepping up individually. I still can't believe they got Smolder. I don't know how that got through. I think maybe 100 Thieves was like, you know what? They're actually playing early game really well. Not that they wouldn't pick Smolder, but it's like, if we can't beat them in the early game, it doesn't matter. We're not going to win anyway. Maybe you're kind of, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I don't think they'll get Smolder in their next series. I'd be
No.
shocked, especially because I think C9 doesn't really want to play
Yeah, I was gonna
Smolder
say
as
for some
much.
reason
They
Berserker
want to
doesn't
play
want
early
to
game
play it.
champions. But what I will say, I like Team Liquid really they have stepped up a lot. Like they're like this is not like they got a lucky draw. Like they're clearly the third best team in this region and maybe higher right now. They're really doing it well. And it's the playoff improvements. It's like they took FlyQuest to 5 games. Anything they did wrong that series, we immediately saw adjustments. So major props to Team Liquid for really, for all the times that we've seen C9 almost be the team or start to be the team we want them to be. I think we're finally starting to see Team Liquid be the team that they said they were going to. And that's been really nice to see.
And lo and behold, all it took was them being able to play more than one game against an opponent. So
Yeah.
shout out
Yeah.
to
And
best of series. You know,
yeah,
who'd have thought?
and turning your monitor shout out to turning your monitors on before third dragon. Like, like
That's
it's
true too.
they actually
That is
it
true.
wasn't, like they were better but also like yeah, they're gonna be better in series play. Impacting quarter guys who turn it on for series, like and this team has a lot of good looks when they want to play the early game. Like it's good when you can play the early game and then you can also scale. It's good when if your mid laner can play Ziggs, it's also good when he can play Talia. Like if he can keep doing that, like and show these different looks. Like if you have 5 players who can play all these different speeds, like you're already a top team in North America. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, uh, you know, 100 Thieves definitely disappointing. But overall, I mean, this is a team that everyone had. I mean, you even having them 5th, you were one of the more generous early predictors of them. I think like you and David Shynock, the
Dude,
biggest 100
David's the
Thieves
one who
fan
gave me
in the
shit for
States.
giving them too high. I
Yeah,
don't think
he
I might
thought
have
you
been
had
the
him too
only
high.
person that had them anywhere close
Yeah.
to that. And I will
So
take that one
like
to the grave, guys.
you should. You saw something, and then like really. So like I hope that I don't want this to be like, oh man, 100 Thieves really shit the bed. They didn't. Like I think they played worse in playoffs than they could have. I think they played better in regular season than we thought they were going to. I think they're somewhere in between those two forms. That's pretty good. That's not bad for a team this young and like
Well,
even in their losses, like Meech's team fighting positioning, even in the losses to Team Liquid was like really nice. So
well,
like
he's
there's still things to take away, and I think this team actually stays a contender. Like I think this team is still like I don't think this is an aberration. I think this team's like good, like a top 4 team right now for sure.
I think that they're probably better. I still think that by summer they'll probably be a top 3 team.
Ooh, okay, I'm here
Well,
for
because
it.
like you gotta think about it, right? Like they're only going to learn and get better as a team, and they're probably going to stay together, right? So they could come out the gate really hot, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. Like they have a good idea of what they want. I don't know who they would even replace on their team right now if they wanted to try to move something around. You could, I guess, maybe argue Ayla, maybe, but even then, I think that would be kind of stupid for them to do because it seems like Meech is pretty comfortable playing with him. So I think that this team is, if there's any team that's going to benefit significantly from this playoffs and from just this first split and be able to take it into the summer and be great, I think it's this 100 Thieves team, dude. I mean, they are going to get better, right? How much better? I don't really know, to be honest with you. It could be, just marginally better, but like, I think there's a real world where I'll just say it, I guess, now before we start signing off here. I think there's a real world where 100 Thieves are fighting for a final spot and are potentially at Worlds if they stick this team together. Because the last thing I will say to their credit is this was Golden Glue's first time as a head coach in a playoff series in the LCS, and he still did pretty darn well. He's going to learn as well, and we've always known that he was going to be arguably the same way we felt about Sven is the way I feel about Golden Glue. Like, I think he will eventually be the best coach in the LCS. I think there's a real world where that becomes a possibility. He's always had the brain for it. He's always saw the game, in that kind of, I think, fashion, almost to his own detriment, I think, when he was playing. And I think he is going to hit his stride, and that man is going to get paid, and he's going to do a great job. So I fully believe in this team moving forward. I would have loved to have seen them get international experience. I think they'll still struggle at Worlds regardless of how well they play in playoffs and everything else in summer. I would have loved to have seen them, got their brains beat in at MSI so that they could be better at Worlds, but, that's okay. I will say, too, for Team Liquid, kind of thinking this, too, like, they are a better team when, like, again, if they play together as a team, they can theoretically beat C9. They can beat FlyQuest. And I don't know how well that'll do internationally, but damn, man, like, I'm looking back at these drafts and everything. Like, Umti didn't play the same champion once. Like, it was Rel, Volibear, Jax, and Lee Sin, right? Like,
lots of looks, lots of different looks.
APA had different looks. Realistically, it was only the bot lane that had the same looks, and they just kind of stuck to the Xayah Rakan. And Core JJ, for as bad as his Bard looked, was as great as his Rakan looked during this series.
Yeah.
I mean, his Rakan was wildly, just insanely good.
If you get Core Rakan, why would you don't change that if he's going to keep getting Rakan? He's so good on that champion.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah, and it's not the Xayah. Yeah. They shouldn't been. There's no Xayah ban against this team. It's Rakan. But, yeah, man. I mean, it was great to see. This Team Liquid team was, like, on the same page, too. It was, like, engaged from Rakan, engaged from everybody else. Bam. First guy's dead already. Doesn't matter who it was, who they decide to pick off. And it would kind of just snowball the rest of the game. I mean, it was truly a thing of beauty to watch them play. And I think it's a testament to 100 Thieves for the fact that they were even able to be in this series at all, because I do think that Team Liquid, some days it's about, and I think I wrote this in my article for predictions, specifically about the Cloud9 FlyQuest game, because I thought Cloud9 were going to be their best. And I said, on FlyQuest's best day, I don't know that they're beating Cloud9 on a day where they're close to their best or, playing as the way that they should, right? For this Team Liquid team, I will say the same thing. I don't know that they're necessarily beating Cloud9 at their best if Team Liquid's at their best. But if they can catch these teams when they're not at their best, and they are, I think they can surprise anybody right now. And I think that that's a great thing. And I know it may sound convoluted and maybe confusing, but the basic essence is the certain teams' bests are better than others, but that doesn't matter if that other team, like, I think FlyQuest, I don't even think they played their best, but Cloud9 were at their worst. And I think any team other than maybe Dignitas in this playoff bracket could have beaten Cloud9 in that series. That's how bad I think they played.
I mean,
and I think
it's what you said. They have the highest ceiling.
Yeah.
They have the highest ceiling, but we're also seeing a lot of variance. Like, C9 still, after this weekend, I still think that C9 has the highest ceiling of the three teams left.
It's no doubt.
Whether they will consistently hit that, that's the problem, right? Like, it's not coming together in the way that we think it can. But But I know we're gonna have to talk more about those matchups next time. But yeah, I mean, I actually think it's like going to be really interesting. I'm sad for 100 Thieves, but you know, I would have felt bad if 100 Thieves had lost to TL, a TL that just like continued to scale and like they just like scraped it out by the skin of their
Yes.
teeth. But TL
Yes.
made adjustments, played early game, and looked awesome. Like
I'm proud of them, truly.
that's why I was surprised. I was like, oh, 3-1. I'm like, I didn't have it that, but based on how they played, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense
Mhm.
that they won more convincingly than I thought they were than I thought they would. Because they were better than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
In really concrete ways. So shout out to them. And again, I think every time they interview Spawn, he seems like a really process oriented coach. He seems really patient. He seems really understanding of like, like I just yeah, I really think that we're starting to see the essence of what he can bring to this team as a coach, and yeah,
Well, and I
so
just
shout
love
out
that
to
we're
him.
heading into the era of good players becoming coaches. By the way, like all three coaches that are, or
Did
not even
Spawn
good
play
players, Spawn, not players, sorry, just like really good coaches, but like still player coaches. I mean, the last three of the last four are Golden Glue, Nuke Duck, and Mithy.
and Mithy?
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
three like top tier players at different points in their careers, right? And then Spawn's obviously just been busting his butt to become, caster coach, all that jazz.
yeah.
Clearly has
He
the
knows
mind
the
for it.
ecosystem really well
Yeah,
and
I will
understands the
say
competition really well.
I think that the LCS has generally very solid coaching right now. I will blame them for different points that I think they need to work on and get better at, but like for the most part, I think that these are pretty solid coaching.
Hmm? Yeah, I agree. Um,
Sorry.
I no, you're good. Spooks, right? I mean, we've been heaping praise on Golden Glue, and rightfully so. But
Yeah.
Spooks is back to back coaching staff for the split winner now with Golden Guardians last year. I talk about all the time about how big River has been for 100 Thieves. Well, Spooks also came over from Golden Guardians with them, so
Yep.
like, clearly there's some good intangibles there that he's bringing, and Golden Glue's been very very open about him and Jungle Juice and like his supporting staff being a big part of the drafting process. And I do think 100 Thieves has had some of the best drafts in the LCS. And I agree with you. I think that while the region figures itself out, and I think we're still in that phase, we have some good leadership minds, some coaches who have been sort of steeped in competition in the right way. Like I think there was a lot higher chance 5 years ago if you're like, is this coach a fraud coach, right? Like I feel like we have
Yes.
less. At the very least, it's the question is more of like, does their experience and genuine knowledge transfer over to a leadership role? It's instead of just being like, does this person have any idea what they're talking about? Because I think that's the issue, right? Like I'm not. I don't think Mithy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm curious as to whether he is the guy to lead these players to where they can be.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just a mix of what needs like what
Yeah,
type of coaching style it is too. Like just like a player, you need to have a coach that fits the style of what you need for the team. And I think right now we're seeing a kind of a golden era in coaching for the LCS, like in terms of some really bright minds, and I think some people who are very knowledgeable and know exactly how to do certain things. It's just that, yeah, I mean, maybe Mithy's not the right guy for this team, but that doesn't mean that like he couldn't go over to NRG or something like that and kind of bring them back up and bring them to prominence, right? Like there are worlds where coaches just fit naturally better with certain types of teams and certain
for
types of
sure.
players. And again, that's not to say that Mithy doesn't do that with Cloud9 right now. I think he does for the most part, but I just think that when I'm calling for a coaching change there, I'm not saying that it's because I don't think Mithy's very good. I think it's just because technically there are six people who matter on a team, and of those five players plus the head coach, he's technically not as good as they are at their jobs, right? Like, and that's not an insult to him. He's great, but it's more of like Fudge theoretically should be the best top laner in the LCS. Maybe not anymore with Whippo, but he's pretty close, right? Blabber generally can be top one. JoJo, Berserker, Vulcan, like they're all supposed to be the best. And maybe there's a coach that's better than Mithy. I don't know for sure. I mean, I really don't at this point. I'm saying this now, and I'm like maybe there's not anybody at least who's ready at least yet to be able to lead this Cloud9 team. Maybe it has to be Mithy, but God, that sounds bad. Mithy, you're doing the best I'm sure that you can, but you know what I mean. It's just like there's a
Yeah.
lot to kind of take
I,
into
I
consideration with
think
all
it's
this.
it's gonna be funny. And it's also so funny, like coaching wise, because like we're saying all this now. If C9 like sweep the weekend, it's like Mithy's a hero. Mithy is a genius. Smithy is everyone is gonna sing his praises forever. Like that's the other thing about coaching that's so hard is like when things are going right, you can get some credit from strategists like people who know strategy or understand team dynamics, like people who cover the game or whatever. But coaching is so thankless, man. Like
Oh,
it's
for sure it
oh, their
is.
players are sick, they're getting carried. Oh, these players are good, but they're doing badly. It must be the coach's fault. Like there's, it's so often a scapegoat position. I do not envy, and have great respect for anybody who does it. It's not easy, and it's you really have to really value the works. It's a lot of work for you're not doing that job for external validation. If you are, I have bad news. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, unless if you are a
it's a
Bill
thankless position, but a
Belichick
very
type
important
coach
one.
and you're just winning and winning and winning and winning, right? Like, I think Parth is kind of an enigma of that, where or not enigma, an example of that, where, um, I clearly like those TSM teams. Like, I think I don't know if he was the best coach, but I do know that he did a good enough job to be able to, I think, keep those personalities together and kind of weave in what he needed to be, right? So yeah, sorry, this is a different conversation, but it is worth noting that like this is, I think, a good year of coaches. I think the top four coaches, I think, are all very, very solid overall. I would love to maybe do a coaching rankings with you one day. That would be fun. Just based on, I think, the knowledge that we have.
I'm down.
I think that could be a good idea. But
That'd be that'd be fun because it's so speculative. Like, because that's the kind of thing. Like, I want to because I think it'd create good discussion. But then, like, a coach could respond and be like, "Actually, my assistant coach did all the drafting, and my our points just fall to the ground." But I would definitely be down. I really think that
yeah,
like
but see, but that's a
coaches
part of
deserve
it
more credit.
too.
You guys,
Right, like that's a part of it too. Is it's like that
yeah,
finding out like what their balances are and stuff. So yeah, we'll
definitely.
we'll maybe do that too. Like we've got a lot of, I think, good off season content to come for you guys. I hope that you guys will comment below and let us know what you think of our predictions and everything like that we've been doing so far. Let us know if there are things you want us to improve about it. Make sure to let us know too if there are things you want us to talk about during these off seasons. But Nick, any final thoughts before we head off to our Thursday episode, where we will actually give our predictions and get ready for championship weekend?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a little challenge here. I would like you to tell me one thing without telling me the predictions of your matches. What's one thing that's going to happen at LCS Finals weekend? Like, but you can't spoil your predictions for the matches. But what's one thing that's going to happen? It could be anything. It doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be like a victory or like.
And now, are you talking about like including the third place game or what?
Yep, yep. And it doesn't like I said like without saying who you like.
Okay,
No matter
I
who
got
wins
it.
the game,
We're not
I
going
can
to
do mine
get.
first if you want.
No, I got one. We're not going to get a 3-0
Okay.
finals.
Okay. I hope not. That'd be great.
Yeah, I just
I
don't. I
like
mean, I know
that.
that seems like kind of a baseline one, but I don't think. I think regardless of who makes it to finals against FlyQuest, I think they will win a game, at least one. That's my prediction.
Okay. Okay.
What about you?
Mine is even though Quid has been eliminated from playoffs, the ghost of Quid will be present. There will be one Vagar pick this weekend. I don't know who will do it, but
Ooh,
one guy,
it's gonna
one
be
person will take a
Jensen.
page
You
out of his
know
book
it's
as
gonna
an
be
answer.
Jensen.
I hope so. I hope so.
That's who makes. Well,
I
I,
hope
I
so.
guess I could see maybe JoJo playing it. Actually, I could see
I could.
everyone
I
playing
mean,
it.
yeah.
It
No,
depends on
I
if they
think
let the
his.
smolder through, because that seems to be the counter to smolder.
Yep. I did love that 500 Thieves. I'm a huge, for those who don't know, huge Vagar fan. One of my favorite champions. So I hope I'm right about that, and I think it could really happen. Like I said, on any of these three teams, and whoever's, regardless of what day it happens. So
We're gonna find
Quid,
out.
Quid, Quid. In that way, Quid's spirit lives on.
I love
You
it.
know,
I love it.
until he
He'll.
comes back to life in summer.
I was gonna say he'll be back. He'll be back with a vengeance. There's no
He'll
doubt about
respond.
that.
Yeah.
But no, we definitely appreciate all of it, and let us know what you think of that too. And if you have a prediction that you think is going to happen, that's not, save your actual predictions for next week or for Thursday's
Yeah.
episode. But and we'll have a breakdown next week of the championship weekend, and then we'll probably start our off season content as well. So make sure you're watching out for that. But Yeah, guys. With that, we'll catch you on the next one.